Boom. Greetings, massive, beautiful people of the world. For those who dare to show a bit of beauty, yeah, the beauty on the inside. Yeah, that's the one we want to see. So I'm going to keep going with my daily study of the scriptures for the now. PT, Prashant Trividi. Hold on. There you go. Scriptures for the Now by Prashant P.T. Trivedi. So, let me just put a little bit more light. Oh, like this, it's okay. Oh, like that, it's good. So, discipline. Discipline is losing the battle. Hold on. Oh, it's a bit too much. So discipline is losing the battle in a world where all the media is screaming, preaching loudly, be undisciplined. It's cool and great to have that coffee or toffee. You are indestructible. No harm can come to you. Most people have a fear of discipline. From the trauma they carry from the city school discipline, which is designed to artificially fit one into society. No matter how they all try and run away from any kind of discipline, they find they run straight into it. The school is followed by 9 to 5 jobs, the same society which blatantly propagates undiscipline. Puts people in cages for 8 to 12 hours a day to toil for an undisclosed goal. Even basic discipline like eating home self-cooked proper food are disappearing fast. Along with them will disappear respect for the higher. The more undisciplined one is, the more unable one is to respond properly to the higher. Such beings end up becoming vampiric appetitics. For them, the energy of the higher is too much to handle. So they end up criticizing, swearing, pointing fingers, and shunning it instead. No discipline ship without discipline. There is a reason why these two words are the same. Discipline. D, psi, P, line. Diverse branching, cutting of P, the axis line. In simpler terms, one has to have discipline at every turn to navigate properly through the phenomenon called life. Discipline. Yeah. Discipline and attitude. A real student, disciple. A real disciple is one whose ears just listen to the guru, whose mouth just praises the guru, whose attention is fixed positively on the guru. Also, the guru chosen should be higher than oneself. For it to be any real guru discipline relationship, which will take one closer to the divine. Some can choose to make divine itself their guru. The same principles apply. Yes. Spirituality and evolution. spirit and soul. The two words, spirit and soul, have become synonymous amongst people of this planet. They see no difference between them. Spirit, however, is not the same as soul. Many beings here don't have a soul, but they have a spirit. The talk that every being with a nose, two eyes, walking on 2 feet has soul is nonsense. That's why there is so much talk of spirituality and not much mention of soulity. Soulality. Spirituality, soulality. Yes, soulality. That's it. Technically, the difference between spirit and soul comes from level of coherence. The word soul comes from soul, S-O-L. S-O-U-L comes from S-O-L, or sun, the beings who can generate their own light through connection with the divine super soul are the ones who have soul. Not many of them here. The rest are just spirits who can, under certain conditions, generate a soul, depending on their efforts to re-establish connection with the divine super soul. The primary majority of people here are very into the peripheral, secondary, and tertiary. But they have little or no interest in the primary. Thus, all the frustration and madness as they wonder, scream, why nothing ever really works out for them. Primary as the root prime for reason, and prime as the root P for reason. Yes, yes, yes. Attention. There are widespread notions that ones own their body, thoughts, and emotions, cars, houses, etc. But the truth is that one's attention is all one owns, and it should be used to focus on divine in its activities. This makes the attention pure, free, and undivided, the result of which is a permanent bliss state. The most fatal mistake in soul evolution a spiritual aspirant can do is to put one's precious attention on one's own self, body, thoughts, and feelings. Mirrors have to be discarded, both external and internal. This is completely opposite to what all the faulty systems have been deluding people with, telling them to self-reflect, focus, analyze their own physical response, thoughts, and feelings, basically getting them more and more entangled in the unfractal spider web of pain and unhappiness. Where's my glasses? Hold on. Besoin de mes lunettes. The most obvious thing. People seem perennially confused about how their self will improve. And most try to improve it by putting focus, attention on the self. But that obviously never works. And all they end up with is frustration. Self can only improve when one can put focus, attention on the most obvious thing. And that is the blaring, shining higherness of Iron Divine. Only that awareness and holding that awareness second to second can raise one higher. Higher. Attention. Yes, yes, yes. Attention. Attention can be used two ways. Either it can be put on one's own self and cause all kind of complication and grief, or it can be put onto something much more interesting, Iron Divine, and create bliss, which is more natural, a no-brainer. This is the basic root decision everyone here has to make. Pun, P-U-N, maybe you want to say fun. Fun, F-U-N, and evolution. Fun and evolution. Many souls are often turned away from the evolutionary path because there is a deliberate artificial schism created between fun and evolution. Evolution is portrayed as a boring process, much like school, while drunk, girating, and in a dingy nightclub is the definition of fun. The reality is the absolute reverse. Every step taken towards divine creates real bliss and, consequently, more fun. The advertised packaged definition of fun, as conjured up by evil minions, are a pun or fun, or a pun on fun. Pun, not intended, the same thing, P-U-N. Pun on fun. They lead to absolute boredom, which in turn leads to dependency on alcohol and drugs. The final price is the soul itself. Blame must also go to the ugly, blissless self-appointed heads of spirituality, who, through their sheer ignorance, propagate dour, turgid, and uncool processes that hold no appeal to any youngster searching for cool. As a result, youngsters fail to realize that Divine is more rocking than any rock band. It is infinitely more cool and groovy too. Future. Okay. It should be automatic and reasonable for all beings to care about their future. But strangely, one finds not many who really do. So just think about the immediate future. But thinking is different from caring, which is an action-oriented term. And caring of many just extend to insurances and such. Really caring about future actually extends from now to eternity. The basic question. The basic question. The basic question which any person needs to ask themselves is this: would I be fine with having the life which I have gotten this time, from very infancy to now, again in the next birth? If the answer is yes, the same question should be asked for a life worse than one has had, and so on, till one says no. Such people, no matter how reluctantly, will have to make some effort to learn about what not to do, to not fall below their own self defined low standard. If the answer to the above question is no, straight away, such people should become eager and ready to learn. What will make sure that doesn't happen? What will make sure that doesn't happen? That's it. Any so called spiritual mumbo jumbo, which people try and do around the world without asking and answering this question, is all nonsense, and will never bear fruit. Those whose answer is that they don't want a life here again, period, are on their way to real spirituality. Such beings are the only ones who can sincerely and fully turn to the divine. Those who say they do not care what life they get next, well, can carry on their merry, mindless way into hell and torture. Goals. Goals. It goes without saying that one's effort as always are always towards one goals. Let's look at the kind of goals beings here are setting themselves. As kids, it is all about plastic toys. As teenager, it's all about parties. As adult, it's all about gaining as high a position in society as they can. Very few beings here are even contemplating goals like breaking out of the 3D matrix, not having to be born here again in the temporary realm of pain and disease. Hold on, not done. This is the case even if they try. This is the case even when they are living in times where all the pain and suffering of their own and others is all very clear and out in the open. Almost everyone, from a sports person to a house cleaner, knows that the goal has to be set first before any effort can be made to reach it. Most are hyper busy setting and achieving meaningless temporary goals. As soap bubble, superfluous as the zillion of silly New Year resolution. Surprisingly, there is also no real change in goals, despite all the bubble bursting, which always happen in time. The happiness they expect at the moment of reaching their goal never materializes. whether it be the top of Mount Everest or holding the trophy they wanted most. Thousands of goals have already been scored in football, but the heavens haven't opened up as yet. At the end of the day, the only difference between all beings is what goals they set for themselves. Survival or survival. SUR, vival, or SER, vival. Majority on this planet are focused on just survival with a U. With this very limited aim and attitude, even if one does survive till death, of what use it is. Is it of what use is it? As one will be thrown back in this world to begin the gruesome struggle for survival again. What is the point of sustaining the body if one has no clear goal as to what one would do with the body, which would take one out of the hellish cycle of 3D existence? The real spelling is actually survival with the E. One is here to serve divine, not just survive. Survival is automatic. If one serves divine, that's only the real word is serve ival, serving I value. Service compendiums. Let's deal with another swear word in modern parlance. Servant. Servant. Which is deemed okay in reference to made up inanimate collective franchises like a football club, company, or government, but a complex no-no when used in context of individual dealings. The ancient Vedic literature called Puranas, which the epics Mahabharata and Ramayana are part of, can easily be called servant service compendiums to make them relevant in today's world. They are all primarily aimed at showing how one should serve the higher and divine. Whether it be Hanuman serving Ram, or Kunti serving Durvasa, or various disciples serving their respective gurus. The primary emphasis of today's world is to get as far away from the serving state as possible. That's why the peasants are trying to become government officials and corporate CEOs. Only to find that they end up serving something or the other, not necessarily higher than them in terms of soul evolution. To put it straight, they end up serving the evil demiurge. This obviously has been propagated from what is now called the West, where the whole servant compendium was limited to how to be a burler, how to be a butler. But the butler archetype was no real servant, as it expected things in in return, like pay, etc., and was many a time smarter than its master. The hierarchical system propagated by the West was not based on soul evolution, which was a given considering that they occupied a very low position in spirituality hierarchy. Instead of humbly rising upwards, they decided to turn it upside down and put themselves on the top. By simple methodologies like divide and rule, and setting up money systems completely under their control to make others serve them, they conveniently forgot that any upside down system has its fatal repercussions and a time limit. The sand is running out. Paramount. Action is paramount. Simple. Action is paramount. Control of action. Action can only be controlled through an alternative action, not through attempts at cessation of action through meditation or any such. That's a good one. Control of action. Action can only be controlled through an alternative action, not through attempts at cessation of action through meditation or any such. Action. The word term action is a very different meaning now when compared to what it has always actually meant from the beginning of creation. Action for those trapped in mass muggle consciousness here has nothing to do with consequences or continuity or coherence. Action to them is some general, whimsical, meaningless, scattered, disconnected burst of energy called activity, which doesn't have to last through time. Do one, then do another, and so forth. No coherent context required. No sense of consequence. Well, such a definition of action can only lead to lowering of consciousness and descent into deeper hellishness. And what do we see all around here? Trois petits points. You're gonna have Santos on again soon? Yeah, I asked Santos to manifest on the Truman Show. Yeah, I asked him last Monday, I think. He's busy for now. He has a few interview lined up and all that, but we're supposed to get together eventually. I asked him at the beginning to come and talk about the Freedom Convoy, but I've let go of that stuff. I understood finally after looking at all the angles and all the might just be a controlled position thing again. It's part of the script and like it's Babylon. It's always like it's. So I've let go of the like not the propaganda of the convoy, but and anyway, it's nonsense. The whole thing is nonsense. If you have real intention of changing whatever, you should have entered the building and take them out. Like, go inside and take them out, take them all out. But it's not what's going to happen. That would be very reprehensible. I think we would have heard a lot of gunshots. So, but it's pointless anyway to just petition them. You can't petition the government. You can't. It's never going to change. It's the Babylonian system. It's been there for thousands of years. Why it's going to change in 2022? Just getting worse. It's just getting worse. More control. Now they want to bring that digital identity stuff, and that's going to come. Social credit, the whole bunch of stuff. And that's why here in Canada and US, we have that credit score. I think that has to do with that to train us for eventual social credit. So now we only we heard the word credit. First of all, but not me. I don't have any. But people use credit cards. People use credit cards. So they're all the word is in their head. So it's not going to be very hard to make them accept that and start using it. I'm telling you, they'll be happy. They'll be the more control they are, the more secure they feel in their insecurity, because they're very insecure. The Muggles, no? That's why they're very judgmental too. If you're gonna be judgmental if you're insecure. If you're secure inside, you don't go out and judge people, and like you most of the time very silently. So I talk a lot here, but when I go outside of my house, I don't start yelling on the rooftop everything I know. It's pointless. Pointless. They won't listen. They won't listen. They think you're the one out of touch with. We're so far from reality and the divine vibration or frequency, or so out of sync. And I think it takes a bit of time for a being to reestablish that, to tap in that frequency, because I think it's Tesla said it. Everything is in terms of a frequency, vibration, and energy. So that's what it is. And your voice have vibration. So use it, but use it for not spreading nonsense. We have enough nonsense. Way worse. Oh yeah, the world. Comme c'est qui disait ça? Sam, je pense, le Truman Show, il disait on est un peuple fini. On est fini comme peuple. Ah, mais c'est vrai. Écoute, tu regardes ça aller, puis le monde, they don't seem really to want anything but their distraction. Like, that's what, anyways, it's crazy this world. Once you start really having, first of all, you see all this by looking at yourself. I've seen all that, almost all the nonsense I'm talking about is because I've seen it within myself. And I still see some nonsense. So that's where, and my experience in life, like, I'm not 20 years old. So I've seen the rain before and snow and all. So and I'm going to see even more, I think, in the future. But yeah, it's listen, it is what it is. That's the world I live in. But I've decided to like, at one point, I've never been much into it's not conspiracy, it's real. I've never been so much down the rabbit hole and stayed there. I checked the stuff, like I did a few videos on my channel about a lot of stuff, Masons and all that. But even that, like in the government, is it the whole government that is into the secrecy, into the secrets of the states? And no, usually it's the people at the top. So it's the same for the Freemasonry. It's not all the Freemasons that are conspiring against humanity. I think most of the stuff they learn there is to be disciplined, to be that's it, because we're totally undisciplined, us, in our foolish muggle state. We're very undisciplined. So I think it's a good way for someone to have a certain discipline. They help you with your speech. There's good stuff for sure. There's probably at the top someone corrupting the organization, like every other stuff in this world. So it is what it is. But we're gonna have a Freemason guy next time we're on the Truman Show with Cindy. Yeah. Heaven and beyond. That sounds good, eh? Heaven and beyond. Karmic vibes in the house tonight. So let me put it down because if not, and move that because if not, I can't see nothing. Okay. The Sanskrit word for heaven is swarg, Swarg, which means self sustaining fire. Self sustaining fire. So, how does one get this self sustaining fire? I'm going to put yourself on fire. I'm going to tell you how. Since it has to be sustained by self, let's see what is in self's ends. Actions. Yeah. Woo! Actions. Now for sustainability. Actions would have to be right, correct, or perfect. So, what is right action? Eating, living right is an obvious answer. But the definition of right in all that can get very complicated. So, what is a simple yet always right, correct, perfect action? Praising, serving, higher and divine is the most right action, which is accessible to anyone. Stop praising the news on TV. I know probably not you, but I'm talking about the muggles. Which is accessible to anyone. Does not require any special skill or knowledge. Just a desire to evolve, get out of hell, and an attitude of service to reach heaven and beyond. Nice to be with you. Nice karmic vibes. Nice. Always a pleasure to share this. For sure, I'll be more interactive if someone show up in the chat or watching it. If I'm alone, I'm just going to read and do my own work. But if you show up, I might be a little not distracted. I don't call that distraction because I like to interact also with you guys, for sure. Cognizance. All the people are doing action on this planet as one cannot exist without doing some kind of action, but hardly any are cognizant of their actions. And one cannot do right actions without being fully cognizant of one's action. They don't take a moment to ask, where am I? That's completely gone. That question, where am I? They've been told where they are. They're fine with that. Who am I with? What am I doing? Is it worth doing? What will be the result? Will it evolve me? If people just started taking responsibility for their body and actions, a lot would improve very quickly in this world. Wording it as it is. Yes, my people, wording it as it is. People here need to word things as they really are. Hold on, placing my book. I have a right to jump into a one-night stand. I have a right to jump into hell. It's more what they say. I am going to the pub. I'm going to hell. I want to teach right without knowing anything. I want to go to hell. Etc. etc. If one still does it, that's up to one, but the wording has to be clear for one's own clarity. Otherwise, one will go to freaking hell and not even know how, why one get there. Yes, beware. You are now aware. So, only one kind of seriousness. Only one kind of seriousness. Seriousness is not depression, graveness, solemnness, humorlessness, quietness, or many other nesses, as many tend to perceive. Yes. There is only one kind of seriousness, and that is care and concern for one's future, not just immediate future or future till death, but all future existence in total beyond this life and death. A real concern about never, ever getting into bad situation, ignorance, pain, and entrapment. A being without this seriousness is a being without any base or foundation. Now, there's one thing I want to ask PT. My next, I'm not done. Hold on. I'll tell you le fond de ma pensée après. Là. And cannot be dealt with in any meaningful way. Such a life is a waste. No real learning or pleasure or bliss or evolution is possible. I want to ask PT because PT in his book at many places, he talks about after death. Well, how can he not prove me, but how not convincing me either, but how can he instruct us or me during an interview that it's even happening, that there is an after death? Like we are there, yes, talking about the future, but future after death and that and Project My Soul. Is there a real I have to word my things properly. Is there a real explanation for that? A real phenomenon that I could relate to? Like, I don't know, crop circles or whatever, or any other stuff that I could say, okay, yes, it's potentially now I can really focus on afterlife, even though I do focus on afterlife, but I'm just saying because there's a lot of people that would say, oh, yeah, you don't even know if afterlife exists, if there is something after death. So, how can you instruct us on what's telling us that there is something after we die? So, is there something, PT, that will assure me that this after death life exists? Like, okay, we can take the stars, but again, what is the relation between me and the stars, like physically, like, that's I don't know if you get where I want to go, but I'll ask PT. We're gonna have another one together soon, so I want to bring him that. And if we say that the stars are soul, because we tend often to believe it if we see it, but a lot of people believe without seeing. But I don't want to believe anyway. I want to know it. So the way to know it is to see it. Then I know because I know that my rosemary plant is there alive because I see it. You know what I'm saying? So, is there something visible that will assure me or reassure me that there is life after death? It's a big question. It's a huge question. Like, it's big because I, a lot of people had after death life experience or stuff like that. That can be used also. A lot of people have seen like tunnels and lights and stuff. That can be used as an explanation, but is there something more tangible than just people's experience when they are uh, dead? Like, is there something that tells me on earth that there's something after death? Because it's an existential, it's probably the most existential questions, because that's what you're preparing here for. That's what I'm preparing for. I don't want to freaking come back here. Did you see that outside how crazy they are? You think I want to come back here? Fuck it. I'm getting out. That's what I'm preparing for. That's why I study all the time and read stuff and empowering stuff and bring the vibes up and stuff. I have no intention to come back. I don't know if they will send me back. But even that, how can I know that this exists? That we reincarnate or something? Like, is there a tangible proof, physical proof of reincarnation? Like, I don't, because we say often that we are old souls and stuff, so, but I don't remember. I'm amnesic. When I took this body, I became completely amnesic of the life before. If there was, which PT seems to point out in that direction. So I want to bring him up to speed. Is that what we say? Bring him up to speed? No. I want to bring him on the two-man show to just talk about. No, that wasn't the right expression. He's going to bring me up to speed on the topic. Yeah. So that's it. Because he talks a lot in the book about afterlife. That's the huge, because that's the whole point of being here. If it's the whole point of being here is exactly preparing for afterlife, gaining that humility, humbleness towards divine, and how can we? Because I don't want to just take the words of someone or PT or someone else, that I would like to know if I can relate to something really that would tell me, oh yes, there is life after life, or if I just have to feel it or pretend or yeah, how do we deal with that? I would like to maybe yeah, talk about that. I'm sure you would definitely have an answer. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, yeah. The fear. People have no fear of their self directing their life. No matter how many bad situations the self leads them into, but there is immense fear of being directed by a higher force, being, or divine. On the highway of life, they are ready to crash the car any number of times and reach dead ends after dead ends, rather than giving the steering to someone who knows the way and how to drive. Boom. What is the body for? The body. I like to call it the body. Bowdy. The body. What is the body for? There are many people on this planet doing many strange things with their body. Twisting and turning it about, putting all kinds of substance in it, treating it like a rental car, without ever asking the basic question, what is the body for? The body is like a bow to the arrow that is the soul, the DNA in your genes, in the slinky which shoots up your soul at the moment called death. Yeah. Just like an airplane requires adequate velocity speed to take flight, in the same way the soul requires adequate velocity, faster than speed of light, to break through the matrix of this plane. So if one does not train one's body DNA to do that, through praise and service to divine, it is the waste of a body. Goes without saying, one gets a worse model each time one misuse. You'll get a worse model next time. So beware. And that's another thing I wanted to ask him. Like he says here, uh, yeah, souls require adequate velocity. So now is the soul velocity that he's talking about, because I have a few questions still. I'm going to write them down after to make sure I don't forget. Is the soul velocity that we have to create, put your being on fire, and at your death, shoot your soul to the stars past the speed of light. Well, is it the same phenomenon that we see with the orbs that come and do the crop circle? You know, they go faster than the speed of light. You don't even have time to see what they're doing, and they're gone. Or the other stuff sometime in the sky goes super fast. Stars go super fast. You know, we see them super. Like if you look at things from a far distance, obviously you have noticed, like me, that the speed effect is not the same. It depends from what perspective you look at an object. The plane in the sky can be going very fast, but from the ground, the further you are, the slower it looks. And I think we all have observed that. So is the stars and up there going like super fast? Is that past the speed of light and stuff? Is it souls shooting themselves into the cosmos? Like, because there might be an exit out of this prison 3D matrix plane called Earth. Maybe there's other realms. Again, how do we prove these other realms? Okay, the stars. Like, I know we cannot prove anything, probably. I don't know. Maybe PT has an answer for that. But I'm going to write down those existential questions, and the one that, especially what he talks about in the book, just so we have clear and more clarity on it, because I'm a bit honestly lost in all this, because I like to talk about stuff that I can verify, that I can see, that I can or experience. Obviously, I haven't experienced that. I know that. But what other people have died. So is there, so we've been here for a long time. I don't need to have experienced it myself to have an idea really what there is after death. A lot of people have died. So maybe we can use their experience. Maybe. But it becomes very primordial, become on top of the list to know that stuff. Or is it just things that I can just believe? Like, I don't want to believe. I don't want to believe there's life after death. I don't want to believe I want to know if it is. What can, or I just accept that I don't know and I prepare for it and take my chance. Honestly, I prefer take my chance to prepare for an afterlife here and live a life of service and praise and service to higher and divine, then sit on the couch and watch TV. Like this is all a question for me. It's done. It's done. I cannot reverse what I have learned and stuff, and so it's just constant, permanent expansion now. Permanent expansion, and that won't stop. So yeah. So I'm gonna let you go, and I'll be here again early tomorrow. We will keep going with what is the body for, but we did it. We just did the vow to evolve. The vow to evolve. The vow to evolve. People take many vows. I'll ask him. I have problem with some words. Some word I have to ask my wife how to say them, because yeah, I'm not bad in English, but it's not my first language. It's second language, so yeah. And I might do the French version of PT's book after. So we'll see. But first, I would like to, before I do the French version, do the show with him to really dig into all the existential question about the book, like life after death, higher and divine, like a lot of things, a lot of stuff. But higher and divine, it's not hard to find it. That I have no problem uh, praising or serving a higher and divine because I know it exists. I know it exists. I look around and I see it in the sun, in the stars, in the sky, in the water, the fishes, the animals. It's just the muggles. Sometimes I don't see it. The muggles are lost at sea. Next. But yeah, I see it everywhere. So the iron divine, no problem. And we can easily prove the existence of iron divine. But life after that, that's another story. So I would like to extrapolate on this, and I'll get PT to. He says he would be more than delighted. There are also the fact that he says he's avatar, the avatar thing too. He self-declare himself as the avatar. The yeah. So I want to dig a bit more into this. Like, has he been like did the higher and divine reach directly to him? Did he have a I don't know. There listen, anything's possible, anything's possible when you look around and you see everything that's happening here, not only with technology and stuff, but the waves, the way the radio work, the way everything is in terms of frequency and energy and vibration. So did he receive like a frequency from the divine at one point and got? I don't know. It's very because that I think can maybe that's what happened when you kind of wake up a bit. At the beginning, you're not fully awake, but you kind of start to wake up. Is it like a direct divine intervention happening to you, or it's just a decision from you to kind of evolve? Because I remember taking a decision to research, to dig into this Babylon stuff. I took the decision personally. So, but was I inspired by higher and divine frequency or vibration? Or this comes interesting to talk about that. So yeah, I'll bring that up to him. So see ya, large up, and give thanks, and that's it. Live every day. Tomorrow should be at 10. Oh, maybe early because I have to do bagels tomorrow. I have to make some bagels. So maybe I'll see. It's either at 8, 7, 8, or maybe not 7, maybe 8 or 10. Worst comes to worst, I'll come in between, or I'll bring the computer directly upstairs and we'll make bagels together. That might be that too. And at the same time, I'll share my trick for my New York style bagels. Yeah, they're super good. All dressed bagels with onion and I put onion in the dough, hot peppers, jalapeno dried, onion dried in the dough. Yeah, I dehydrated 70 pounds of onion the other day. Woo! Yeah, it was smelling bad here. That's what I was saying the other day. So, large up, I'm out, and see you later. Rise and shine.